When most people think of an offshore company, they think of shady dealings and suitcases of cash being deposited in the Cayman Islands. This is because Hollywood and the media in general have portrayed going offshore in this way to sell news articles and papers. After all, a newspaper headline reading "Individual legally opens businesses in overseas jurisdiction" doesn't exactly grab your attention. But the truth is, that's all opening an offshore company really involves. In this video, we will cover a refresher on what exactly is an offshore company, is it legal to go offshore, 3 key reasons for an offshore company, and finally some different types of offshore entity. Before I get into today's video, be sure to hit that subscribe button as well as the notification bell to make sure you're kept up to date with all of our latest content. This really helps us to produce more helpful videos and to get you real quality advice from real qualified accountants. This is an area we've already covered in another video, so click on the card above if you want to watch this first as a precursor to this video. At the beginning of April, we granted early access to the Accounting and Tax Academy membership site. In July of this year, we're opening our doors to everyone. Our members will have access to in-depth tutorials, free downloads, and exclusive discounts. And the best part is, it's absolutely free to join. Head to the link in the description box below to register your interest today. Contrary to popular belief, operating via an offshore company is perfectly legal. You will just need to stay up to date with reporting requirements and disclosure requirements in your particular jurisdiction. Above all, you must ensure that you understand your legal requirements with regards to an offshore company wherever it's based. Of course, governments won't advertise the fact that you can technically shop around for the most attractive jurisdiction to base your company in. In particular, governments who impose high rates of corporate tax and stringent reporting requirements, as they are likely to lose a lot of business and the associated tax revenue that those businesses generate. Although the process is completely legal, it's not something we would advise to undertake without first seeking advice from an experienced tax professional. If you start to fall foul of some of the reporting requirements, the legal issues and penalties can really start to rack up. Those looking to evade tax altogether should think very carefully, as any activity with a view to evading tax altogether is illegal no matter where in the world it is done. If you're interested in learning more about the differences between tax avoidance and tax evasion, head over to our video on this debate in the link below in the description box. Below are 3 common reasons why you may want to incorporate a company offshore. Number 1 is undoubtedly taxation. Of course, paying less tax is one of the main reasons a business may want to operate through an offshore company, and is probably the first reason that springs to mind for most people, including yourself. Company profits are usually taxed in the tax jurisdiction that the company is registered. So a company formed in Ireland but trading in the UK may be able to calculate its tax liability using Irish tax rates. As things currently stand, the corporate tax rate in Ireland is 12.5% as opposed to 19% in the UK, so you can see why this may be appealing. When choosing where to incorporate offshore, it's not just the lowest rate of tax you should be considering. In the past, there have been plenty of tax havens where companies were able to enjoy rates as low as 0% and have very little in the way of reporting requirements as well. Unfortunately, over time, these once popular locations have become less and less attractive for UK business owners. Those low rates of tax still exist, usually in exchange for paying an annual fee locally, but most reputable banks around the world are now very reluctant to open accounts for companies incorporated in such known tax havens, primarily due to the lack of due diligence in the company formation process and the potential negative reputation that may come from working with them. It's probably best to settle for a good happy medium rather than just seeking out a jurisdiction that offers the lowest possible rate of tax, which usually comes with a certain stigma attached. There is a balance to be found between low taxes and strong international reputation too. Singapore, for example, at 17% has a lower corporate tax than many other countries, but certainly not the absolute lowest. But its advantage is that it maintains a strong international reputation. Number 2 is asset protection. By setting up an offshore company, you are able to add an additional layer of protection to your business assets. This is particularly true and important for businesses who trade in countries where litigation is common. The United States is one country that springs to mind, as it's very common and very easy to take legal action against a business or an individual in this country. Where a business is operating via an offshore company, this helps to put some distance between would-be claimants and business assets. Someone wanting to make a claim against a company registered in Singapore, for example, would need to do so in Singapore. This would involve more effort, increased time and cost, plus increased uncertainty for the claimant. Ask yourself, how likely are you to take legal action against a company based in a foreign country? Although this does not insulate the business of legal issues entirely, and an argument could be made that the business is opening itself up to legal disputes in other jurisdictions by incorporating offshore, providing careful consideration is made when selecting a location for your offshore company and local compliance is maintained, then the benefits should outweigh the risks. And number 3 is investing in overseas assets. An offshore company can also open up new opportunities for you and your business. Many countries around the world won't allow foreign nationals or foreign companies to purchase certain assets such as land and property. A company registered within the country will usually be able to purchase these type of assets. This could be an important consideration when deciding where to base your offshore company. If there is a particular market you are trying to enter or establish your business in, then forming a company there may give you easier access. If the purchase of overseas assets is the primary goal of your offshore company, it is important to really do your due diligence in your target jurisdiction. Your business may need to operate under a specific type of entity. The company may need a local resident to be named as a director in order to purchase certain assets. These are all criteria that should be considered at the planning stage and discussed with a professional advisor to ensure you achieve the optimum structure and avoid pitfalls and problems later on down the line. An IBC, which is short for International Business Company, is a name typically given to an offshore company that has been formed outside of the United Kingdom. As with UK companies, IBCs can be used for practically any purpose, including holding overseas property and shares, bank accounts, and other assets. An LLC, known as a Limited Liability Corporation, are available in a number of jurisdictions. In the United States of America, an LLC, in particular the Delaware LLC, are perhaps the most popular vehicles. The LLC is similar to the UK LLP, although there are some important differences. If you want to find out more about a UK LLP, then we have done an informative video on this, which you can access by clicking on the card above. Essentially, an LLC is a cross between a UK type LLP and a limited company. Unlike an LLP, an LLC is taxed as a separate entity in many jurisdictions and would therefore be subject to corporation tax on its profits. If you were to own an interest in an LLC, you would be known as a member as opposed to a shareholder. LLC structures are known to be very flexible, and in particular, documentary requirements are light, with few requirements to keep minutes or have records of formal resolutions. It also benefits from limited liability, thus ensuring that your personal assets are kept separate from your business assets. The minimum number of people needed to form an LLC is only 1, with a few exceptions. If you did incorporate with just 1 member, this would be similar to a one-person limited company here in the UK, albeit with lower disclosure and documentary requirements. There is also the standard private limited company, similar to the one you incorporate here in the UK. There are also trusts, foundations, and protected cell companies, to name a few more. I hope this video has helped you capture 3 good reasons as to why you may want an offshore company and taken you one step closer to knowing your numbers. As always, let us know in the comments your thoughts on today's video, or if there are any other topics you'd like us to cover in the future. Finally, be sure to like and subscribe, as this really does help us to get our content out there. This is Tony D'Angelo for the Accounting and Tax Academy. Thanks for tuning in.